Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the Wellcome Photography Prize Awards 2021. I'm Liz Bonnen, and I'm delighted to be able to join you for this year's online event. The shortlist for this year's awards is an extraordinary set of photographs, images that portray stories about health from all around the world with empathy, integrity, and creativity, and that are a testament to the extraordinary talent of our shortlisted photographers. This year's prize features 3 categories: managing mental health, health in a heating world, and fighting infections. Each category is made up of a single image shortlist and a series shortlist, and a finalist will be awarded from each of these. So we'll end up with 6 category finalists who will then be vying for our 2 grand prizes, an overall single image winner and an overall series winner. We had an incredible 4,300 entries this year, and they were whittled down to the shortlisted 30, which is no small feat, I can tell you. Our judging panel this year were Brett Rogers, Azun Wagbogu, Dr. Charles Ogilvie, Dr. Dixon Chibanda, Johanna Churchill, Dr. Joycelyn Longdon, John Nkengasong, and Dr. Katerina Shrahulkova. A huge thank you to them all for bringing to the table their expertise in photography, science, and health, and for spending several intense days deciding on the final selection. So we're in for a very special evening with 3 categories filled with extraordinary imagery, along with some fascinating insights as well into the work of some of the shortlisted photographers. When our 6 finalists have been announced, Director of Wellcome, Jeremy Farrer, will be awarding the 2 grand prizes for overall single image winner and overall series winner. Now, if we have an unexpected glitch or freeze along the way, as with all things digital, please bear with us and we'll do our best to rectify it as soon as we can. And if you have any questions during the event, please do ask and a member of the Wellcome team will respond. Just use the YouTube live chat on your screen. So, best of luck to all our shortlisted photographers, and let's get started, shall we? To open these awards, it's my pleasure to introduce our Wellcome Chair, Julia Gillard, who will tell us a bit more about Wellcome and why this photography prize is so very important.
Hello everyone, my name is Julia Gillard and I'm the Chair of the Wellcome Trust. Thank you all for attending this year's Wellcome Photography Prize Awards ceremony. Although current circumstances mean we can't gather in person, we have a great event planned and, as every year, a truly remarkable set of photographs which showcase health issues across the world. My congratulations to all of the shortlisted photographers. I was blown away by this year's images. We look forward to celebrating your work during the ceremony. At Wellcome, we support science to solve the world's most urgent health problems. This is, of course, a monumental task, but by giving researchers the freedom to make discoveries and by connecting people across research and society to share knowledge and ideas, we can change the world itself. As a financially independent charitable foundation, Wellcome is in a unique position to respond to the health issues that affect all of us, wherever we live. Mental health, global heating, and infectious disease, which has, of course, dominated our lives for the last year and a half, are the health challenges we see as the most critical, with enormous impacts on our lives, health and well-being. Through our work, everything from funding vaccine development to initiatives like the Photography Prize, our purpose is to build a world in which everyone can have better health, a world where no one is held back by mental health problems, where we limit global heating and better protect the health of the communities most affected by it, and infectious diseases can be overcome. The Wellcome Photography Prize, now in its 3rd year, is one of our most exciting ways of addressing the major health issues of the 21st century. Each year, we see how the photographs featured in the prize can inspire and inform. They show health and the consequences of illness at the most human level, taking us to all corners of the world and urging us to find solutions to mental health issues, global heating and infectious diseases. The shortlisted photographs we celebrate tonight are not just brilliant and creative photographs, but brave first-hand accounts of the human experience. And I would encourage everyone to do with these images what I believe they urge us to do. Look more closely, think more critically, and take inspiration in how we can all participate in solving the world's most urgent health problems. Thanks to everyone again for joining us, and good luck to all those who are nominated.
Thank you very much, Julia. As you can see, the Wellcome Photography Prize is not just about celebrating incredible photography, it's also about raising awareness of the planet's most urgent health issues for as many people as possible. Now, let's get underway with our first category, managing mental health, a subject that affects us all in some way in our lives, but that can often be misunderstood. The judges were looking for photographs that gave unique insights into what it's like to live with depression, anxiety, and other related challenges, and that also conveyed how individuals and communities are finding their way through these challenges in a turbulent world. Kicking off this category is a Q&A between photographer Rebekah Williams and the subject of her series, Birds of a Feather Flock Together, Nadim Pereira and Ollie Olani-Pekun. Rebekah documented the bird watching group Flock Together that Nadim and Ollie founded in 2020. They founded it to promote the benefits of nature as a means of improving mental health and to help counter racial injustice in society. Here is their conversation.
Thank you so much for agreeing to and yeah, for being a part of this project. What have you found have been the biggest mental health benefits to bird watching and spending time in nature for you, but also for the people who attend the walks?
From a more personal approach for me, it came at a time where I figured working a stressful job in a white-dominated environment was taxing and has been taxing. So, for me, my escape from that was going into nature, and that was a space that I felt I could gain this perspective where, I could wander without distraction and use that space to process lots of things, and at the time I was doing a very stressful job in the advertising industry. So that was where I realized I needed nature, and you can go and nature requires absolutely nothing from you. And there's not many places that exist that are like that, if any. So that was for me the mental health benefits that I found in nature. And then for the wider community, when we built Flock, it was a place, a pure safe space. Again, no expectations from anyone, just turn up. But through that collective support, we can hopefully uplift each other, uplift one another. And so far, so good. And that's what we've created.
One of my favorite parts of it is definitely engaging the younger generation. Obviously, my background is working in the community with kids from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of ages, from nursery all the way up to secondary school. And yeah, it's massive, the impact that we can have on these young people, because I have had troubled, kids, really troubled kids in primary and secondary age, going through really tough times, not getting on well in the classroom, really just take to nature. We take some primary school kids on a walk, and the teacher will come back to me and say, this kid has been like an angel since he's come back. He's been in such a good mood, and he won't stop talking about birds. He won't stop drawing the birds. And when you hear things like that, and we talk about legacy, for me, that is almost at the pinnacle of what I want to achieve, to instill these broader horizons and new possibilities into the younger generation, so as to facilitate new thinking, new possibilities and new outcomes, particularly in the environmental and natural world, because it's been the same voices saying the same things for decades and decades, and look where it's got us. It's landed us in a crisis. So it's hugely rewarding to influence those kids, and it's really, really promising to see children from the inner city take such a big interest in nature through the work that we're doing.
What would you say to people of colour who are looking for creative spaces like bird watching to help them with their mental health?
What I would say to people is to find their own community, whatever that may be. If they can't find it, create it. Community doesn't have to be hundreds of people. Community is just a safe space with a common goal we share with those who attend. So whether it's bird watching, whether it's a supper club, whether it's go-karting, just go and find your safe space, because within a safe community, you've got everything you need in regards to support, love, to be challenged, which is really important as well, protection. So I'd love, nature doesn't require anything of you, and the barrier to entry for bird watching is bottom tier. So I recommend starting there, but we just encourage people to get out. Nature has all the answers, and it's a space that is owed to you. It's yours. It's your space. No one can tell you you can't use it, you can't attend. So just seek out that nature to give you the support, protection, benefits that you might not be able to find working and living in the society we are in today.
Definitely. I think community is a hugely important aspect of what we're talking about. And moreover, I think as well, I would say to people who are trying to find that creative space through bird watching, I would say don't focus necessarily on bird watching. Bird watching is what I found in that natural space. But what I would encourage young people to do, and people that are struggling in their industries or struggling with mental health and these such things, is from my perspective, and people that are coming from a similar story, I'm imagining being a young person of color in the inner city, you are really told where you belong and where you don't belong constantly, whether explicitly or implicitly. So what tends to happen is you get in your little clique, you chill on the same block, the same road every day, and constant surroundings breed constant thoughts. So if your surroundings are not changing, your thoughts are not changing, your words are not changing, your actions are not changing, and then you're exactly where they want you. So what I would say is break that, because it's quite powerful, even though it's quite subtle, the things that shut us out from these spaces. There are kids in this area, I live in Hackney, who don't leave their block, but little do they know, 10-minute walk up the road, there's this massive Hackney marshes with meadows of beautiful flowers and birds around them. So what I would say to those people is, it can be intimidating when you're a young person of color, you see all these like white adults with their coffees walking around. Nothing against that, but that can be quite intimidating for a young person of color. So I would say to them, there's no one way to be in those spaces. Don't be intimidated by that. You go out there, take up that space. The same thing you do on the block, just take your people, go out into that green space and do the same thing. And you will then start to feel better, think better, do better, and take up space where you belong, because that nature belongs to you. It's free. No one owns it.
Thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing. I can probably imagine that there's thousands of people who would also want to say thank you to you as well. So just keep doing your amazing work, keep shining, keep inspiring, and thank you so much for doing this Q&A and for being a part of my project.
What a brilliant, inspirational conversation there. Thank you to Rebekah, Nadim and Ollie. Nature is indeed for everyone, and it's fantastic to see the impact they've had on young people from all backgrounds in particular. Take up that space. And now here are the shortlisted photographs for managing mental health.
Mental health is increasingly recognized as being no less important than physical health, although effective treatment is still often hard to come by. This means that many people have to find ways to care for themselves and those around them, and many bear their own burden without knowing where to turn. We see some of these people's stories in the shortlisted photographs for this year's Managing Mental Health categories. In Zimbabwe, we meet the volunteers using friendship benches to provide counseling to members of the community in a relaxed setting. In the UK, we join a bird-watching club that brings people together to find calm amid nature. We witness the domestic disarray of a woman who spent lockdown trapped with her depression and a tender moment as a father and son, once estranged because of drug addiction, bond through a haircut. Congratulations to the shortlisted photographers in the Managing Mental Health series and single image categories.
Stunning images there, and it's my great pleasure to announce our first winner this evening for Managing Mental Health single image, Jamisha Prescott with Untangling.
Wow, firstly, I would like to say thank you so much to the Wellcome Photography Prize. This is an absolute honour. I would also like to thank my family and especially my grandfather who bought me my first camera, so it kind of all started from him. It's really hard to talk about mental health, and I guess it's especially hard to turn the camera on yourself to expose some of the deepest and darkest, but I'm glad that even taking it, I guess, could touch on something that a lot of us have been going through in this pandemic, and that's been really hard. So I just want to say thank you.
Huge congratulations to Jamisha. And this year's Managing Mental Health series winner is Morteza Nick Nahad with Big Fish.
سلام به تماشاگران. من در پروژه بیگفیش درباره مادرم حرف زدم. درباره یک راز خانوادگی. تصمیم سختی بود. اما خوشحالم چون به مادرم کمک کردم. از مادرم بی‌نهایت سپاسگزارم و از همه اعضای خانواده‌ام و از همه همکارانی که کمک کردن این مجموعه ساخته بشه. و بی‌نهایت از ولکام فوتو پرایز قدردانی میکنم که کمک کرد قصه مادر من دیده بشه.
Congratulations to you, Morteza. Incredibly powerful and strikingly beautiful images there from both our winners. And both photographers are now in the running for the overall single and overall series winners' prizes. Now, our next category is Health in a Heating World, and it documents the many ways in which our rapidly changing climate affects us. These photos convey how fire and flood can devastate the land that people depend on, how heat creates new disease threats, and what happens when food and safe water become scarce. The images also show us how people are finding ways to protect each other in life-threatening environments and how these threats might be mitigated. Photographer Michael Snyder travelled to the planet's northernmost town to take his photo, The Family at the End of the World. In the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard in the Arctic Ocean, the Bernlo family is experiencing firsthand the effects of rising temperatures and of climate change. And we start this category with a conversation between Michael and the Bernlos.
Got it.
Hey guys.
Hi Mike, so good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Hey there, how you doing? Hey, so thanks so much for taking the time to interview. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to start off by asking you guys, what consequences of global heating have you seen in Svalbard, and how have you been adapting to that?
Well, I think the consequences here on Svalbard have been very visible because we're located so far in the north. And during my, sorry, Saga, during my past 10 years here on Svalbard, we've seen glaciers decreasing. We've seen winters become milder. We've experienced rain during winter. We've experienced very warm, unusually warm summers. Last summer, we measured 21 degrees, which is the highest temperature ever measured on Svalbard. So we definitely see and feel the climate changes here on first row, you could say.
Yeah, yeah. And for people that don't get to see those changes on a daily basis, you know, the way that you guys do, or maybe don't understand this as an important issue, yeah, what would you say to those people? What would you urge to those people?
Well, I can only say that they are for real, because we see it and we've seen it not only here on Svalbard. I used to live in Greenland. We saw the climate changes there as well. So it's happening, and it's happening right now.
And I wanted to ask you guys as well, it's been 2 years now, almost to the day, since I've seen you, and a lot has happened in these past 2 years. And what it's been like for you guys on Svalbard during the pandemic, what that experience was like, and if you had access to health services.
Well, first of all, of course, it's been a challenge for us up here since tourism closed down overnight. And most people on Svalbard makes an income from tourism. But that said, we live in a very good part of the world where we are being taken well care of by the government. So we actually believe we've been in one of the best places in the world during the pandemic. Apart from our tourism closing down, we've been living a close to normal life here. I guess the most difficult part has been to spend 6 weeks with my kids non-stop without any help from the school and the kindergarten. But I think we got the best out of it, really.
Cool, great. And then finally, you know, one of the things this project is exploring is connections between human health and global heating. And there's lots of connections all over the world. But I was just wondering whether that's something that's on people's minds in Svalbard, or any connections that you guys are seeing there.
Well, it's nothing that's really been on our minds. We haven't really connected Corona to that. I know there's been some archaeologists looking at old graves from whalers. Sorry, you know, defreezing due to the permafrost disappearing. if maybe you could retrieve the Spanish flu from that, but it's nothing that's been a concern for us. We haven't combined it with the corona at all.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Well, it was so good to see you guys again. Yeah, great to catch up, and thanks so much for taking the time to do this. This was really good.
Yeah, good to see you too, Mike.
Good to see you guys. All right, see you later. Bye.
Thank you to Michael and to Karina and little Saga there for sharing their personal experiences with climate change and its very real consequences. So here are all the shortlisted photographs for Health in a Heating World.
A dangerously hot world isn't just something that our grandchildren might have to worry about. It's here already. The shortlisted photographs in this year's Health in a Heating World categories illustrate the need to stop climate change from getting worse, and the need to deal with the very real health threats caused by rising temperatures. But more than that, they show us the people whose daily lives are a struggle with these problems. We travel from the parched former wetlands of Iran to the charred, abandoned houses of California. We follow the Guatemalan families forced to migrate after crop failures, looking for a way to escape malnutrition. And we meet two young girls, strangers whose fates may be bound together. One lives on an Arctic island, playing outside whilst the ice and snow melt faster each year, and one on an Indian island, carrying salt water home to her family across a landscape devastated by flooding. Congratulations to the shortlisted photographers in the Health in a Heating World series and single image categories.
Truly stunning and emotive images there from all our shortlisted photographers. And our Health in a Heating World single image winner is Zakir Hossein Chowdhury with Climate Cost. Congratulations to you, Zakir. Stunning photographs. And this year's Health in a Heating World Series winner is Hashem Shakeri with an elegy for the death of Hamoon. Congratulations to you, Hashem. Both our winning photographs clearly show just how urgent and catastrophic a crisis climate change is, and how crucial it is that we all take action and play our part in mitigating it. Our final category is fighting infections. The COVID-19 pandemic has, of course, affected all of our lives, no matter where we are in the world. And these shortlisted photographs show that we can get up close and personal with some of those impacts now. From the tireless and heroic efforts of frontline workers to the experiences of ordinary people from all walks of life, these stories also show us how COVID has complicated other challenges like cancer treatment, the denial of trans rights, and war. We even get an insight into the origins of pandemics. When the pandemic hit, UK-based photographer Richard Ball entered strict isolation with his wife Louise, who was having chemotherapy at the time. The two of them then worked together to capture the tender and striking portrait of Louise that is shortlisted in this category. In this video, Richard and Louise tell us more about their experience and that image. Take a look.
I was very aware that this was a very particular and very significant time in both of our lives, and I wanted to create some sort of visual document that we could reflect upon in the future. And I wanted to take the portrait in the most sort of natural approach that I could. I decided I wanted to go for daylight because that gives a nice natural look, so I didn't use any artificial light. And yeah, that's it. It was a lovely project to collaborate on. It was fantastic. Typically, I'm used to taking portraits in quite a limited time frame, whereas what was actually quite nice about this was that we had time. We were in a lockdown. We couldn't go anywhere. And so I carried out the shoot over a period of weeks, revisiting the shots now and again, reviewing the images with Louise. So that sort of process of collaboration over time was fantastic. And yeah, just having Louise on board every step of the way, reviewing the shots, even down to the final selection of the one image that we went for, was fantastic.
I mean, for me personally, I don't really feel comfortable having my photo taken, and to go through that process in, you know, the comfort of your own home with somebody who you trust implicitly makes you feel very at ease, and I think that was a really interesting experience for me to go through as well. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the result that we've managed to deliver with this. I'll be honest and say I managed very well. I started my treatment before the lockdown happened, and so I had already been working from home when I felt well enough to, and had really been forced to slow right down. And it's almost like the rest of the world had to catch up with me. So, and we were very fortunate that we had friends and neighbours being able to sort of drop things off for us as we couldn't go to the shops. I think, you know, the things I found most difficult were not being able to go for walks, but the rules were very clear. You know, the consultants were it was very black and white for us, and I think not having those grey areas about should we do this or shouldn't we actually made some of that easier to deal with. It just meant spending a lot of time together. So yeah, it was not so bad.
First of all, my commercial and editorial work became much more limited, naturally. I adapted in that regard in as much as clients would send me products to the house so I could do still life product photography from home, which worked very well. And on the more sort of personal creative front, I adapted in as much as I sort of took on projects that were available to me. The portrait was a fantastic opportunity when you're restricted in that way. I also did a still life project, photographing flowers that we were receiving at that time, which worked very well. So yeah, I just adapted accordingly.
I think the risk of a secondary illness when you already have a compromised immune system is very scary, so you just have to be careful about anything. And I think there was this added layer of fear and anxiety around COVID, especially back then when people didn't understand a lot about what was going on. So so there was definitely a sense of anxiety about that. But at the same time, in terms of managing health appointments, there wasn't really any disruption to my treatment. It was more that there were safety protocols in place when you did have to go into clinics. And I think one of the biggest impacts was actually the lack of support and visitors you could have with you. So, so that they could actually limit the number of people going in and out of the wards. It did mean you were on your own for some of that stuff. But I also felt that the changes that have been made, there were some really positive ones. Being able to still have that 24-hour access to care when you need it, but it's via phone calls instead. And I think we've managed that all very well, and I don't really feel like there were any complications
there. I always think it's a good thing when you can take a photograph that is very personal, but that it gets viewed in a way that's universal, or it's seen in a way that's universal. And I hope that that's the case with this photograph. What I wanted to capture, I realised over time, was the combination of Louise's strength and vulnerability in the same picture. And I feel that is there, and I was very pleased to have captured that.
I look back at that picture and I don't recognise myself when I look in the mirror today, which is something I'm very thankful for. So, back then I was managing all of the different side effects that came with treatment and how unwell I felt, and as much as there's an element of strength in that picture, there's a lot of other things that you're going through, and I'm looking back at something that feels like a distant memory, which is a really positive thing.
I really love the portrait. I'm very pleased. It seems to have served its purpose of this visual document that I was talking about. It is a picture that we can reflect upon about that time. I think what impresses me most still about the picture is how beautiful Louise looks in it at this difficult time, and that beauty endures in the picture, and I really love that. I love the picture.
A heartfelt thank you to Richard and Louise for taking the time to share their story with us. And now here are all the shortlisted photographs for Fighting Infections.
For the past year, COVID-19 has been an inescapable presence in our lives. Lockdown, social distancing, PPE, quarantine. This is the new vocabulary of our daily lives, in which we grapple with the consequences of a pandemic and work together to fight it. While the shortlisted photographs in this year's Fighting Infections categories shows us the global scale of the pandemic's impact, they also reveal its reverberations on an individual scale, particularly to person and place. We visit a nursing home in Italy as a mother and daughter finally hug through the barriers of a plastic sheeting. We sit in a tram car in India, sweating on a summer day with a conductor garbed head to toe in protective clothing. And we are taken into the forests of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where human-animal contact is common, sometimes causing new viruses to jump the species barrier and start spreading among people. Congratulations to the shortlisted photographers in the Fighting Infection series and single image categories.
Such extraordinary talent and powerful storytelling in those images. And our Fighting Infection single image winner is Ali Song with The Time of Coronavirus.
Thanks to everyone who have made its Advent ceremony possible. It is because of your hard work that we are here. I want to thank my family and my company Reuters, and also to everyone who has fighting against the pandemic and saving lives. From a professional staff to volunteering, the past year has been a difficult one of us. It is one of the most challenging times in the history of mankind. Let us continue standing together. Thank you.
Congratulations to you, Ali. And this year's Fighting Infection series winner is Yoppie Peter with Trans Woman Between Colour and Voice.
Hello, my name is Yoppie Peter. I am a photographer from Jakarta, Indonesia. I would like to say thank you to Wellcome Photography Prize to facilitate my project and share it to global audience. And also I want to say thank you so much to National Geographic Society for your great support. And also last but not least are my beautiful subject. I really appreciate you're brave to share your stories to me and to the world. Thank you so much. Bye.
Congratulations to Yoppie and to all the winners of this year's prize. The level of skill and creativity displayed in your images is truly awe-inspiring. And now, of course, comes the time to award the overall winners of the Wellcome Photography Prize 2021. Chosen by our judging panel, the single image winner and series winner will each receive £10,000. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Jeremy Farrer, Director of Wellcome and the Chair of the prize jury, to announce the winners.
Hello, everyone. Liz, thanks very much indeed for the introduction. It's a huge honour once again to be announcing the winners of the Wellcome Photography Prize. It's I have to say it's one of the most special parts of my job. Intellectually challenging, technically challenging, and very emotional as well. And I can say with absolute honesty that choosing the single winner, the single image and the series winner was an incredibly difficult job, if not impossible. We spent a very long time talking about the merits of each entry, marveling at the technical skills and the creativity, and perhaps even more importantly, the empathy demonstrated by these really stunning and very important photographs. But as always, there must be a winner. To remind everyone here, there are 3 images up for the single image grand prize, and they are the 3 images up for the single image grand prize are Managing Mental Health, Untangling by Jamisha Prescott, Health in a Heating World, Climate Cost by Zakir Hussain Chowdhury, and Fighting Infections, The Time of Coronavirus by Ali Song. And this year's Single Image Award winner is Untangling by Jamisha Prescott. On behalf of everybody, all the judges, everybody here today, my very, very sincere congratulations to Jamisa. The jury thought this picture was so very strong, so honest, and really captured the toll of the pandemic has taken on everybody's mental health, but also how you found a way to try and get through it. Now the final award of the evening. Here are the entries up for the series grand prize. The entries up for the series grand prize are Managing Mental Health, Big Fish by Morteza Mikahan, Health in a Heating World, an elegy for the death of Haman by Hashim Shakiri, and Fighting Infections, Trans Women Between Colour and Voice by Yopi Peter. And this year's series winner is Trans Women Between Colour and Voice by Yopi Peter. Congratulations, Yopi. We felt this was an absolutely beautiful series and one that treated subjects and their health struggles with compassion and a real understanding of what they were going through. My thanks to everyone who's been involved in the Wellcome Photography Prize here tonight, all the team at Wellcome behind the scenes who make this possible, all the judges, and everybody who's helped put it together. Thank you very, very much indeed. And with that, Liz, pass back to you.
Thanks very much, Jeremy, and a huge congratulations to Jamisa and to Yopi. I'd like to invite them both to join me live now to answer a few questions. And while they join, may I just congratulate all of our winners and shortlisted photographers this year. To make it to the final 30 out of over 4,000 entries is an incredible achievement. So well done to all of you. We're going through a truly challenging period in our history, and how you have all adapted and responding by producing such astounding creativity is truly remarkable. So thank you for sharing your stories. Now, before we talk to Jamisa and Yopi, here's a little glimpse into how the jury decided on the 2 overall winning entries.
Artists, real artists, do have that way to make us question our convictions and our beliefs.
Photographers, musicians, artists, creatives are a really important part of the puzzle in solving the climate crisis. For that, specifically for that narrative piece and for that storytelling piece, and for making people emotionally connect to the climate crisis. And that's where I feel like the role of photography plays a part in the climate movement.
I think that photography tells stories in a way that words can't. Images allow you to connect with the human beings behind the statistics. I think if it's used in the right way, then it can reach more people. You can connect.
If we watch the expression of this lady on the picture, we can see a lot of emotions, pain, kind of sadness, as well as calmness or kind of peace. And that's something what I really like on these pictures. That was something what, in my opinion, then can speak a lot to the audience, to see how difficult it can be when we suffer with some mental health issues.
I mean, it's her intimate space. I mean, if another photographer had been in that room taking that, we might have felt differently, but remember, it's her taking her own photo that makes it so powerful. So she's got the agency over how she's presented.
They're in the middle of virtually a human rights catastrophe in Indonesia. So in terms of COVID cases are going up, death rates are enormous. And then in the middle of all that, you've got these women that are facing huge adversity in terms of just accessing healthcare. And for me, I found this series to be really moving, really strong. It's very well done. It's very well captioned. It's really powerful, and yeah, absolutely deserves to be winner of a category as well as overall.
See, you never see images like that in those sort of societies where that sort of issue is very much under the carpet and not discussed openly. I think we all just thought how refreshing to see a photographer tackle such a taboo subject and do it with such empathy. And it was beautifully photographed, quiet. The colours were stunning, and the empathy with the subjects and the understanding of what they were going through was so transparent that we loved it.
I think that we should remember when we look at all of these images and the issues that they talk about, that somebody has picked up a camera, gone and engaged with the world, thought about what they were looking at, and then gone through a painful and painstaking process of creating an image and selecting one and telling us the story and sending it in. And I think that, you know, the real hero of this whole event are those photographers.
re-examining what life looks like, and knowing that it can be a good life despite mental illness, I think is probably what I would say to people. And shame is a constant process of unlearning. I haven't unlearned it yet, but yeah.
No, that's beautiful. And your image, the way you speak about it, and I'm sure what you're planning to do with the Moving Image project will all contribute to us all being better equipped to communicate it and to move forward with it so that it's not so stigmatized. So well done again to you, Jamisha. Yopi, if I can ask you, what's next for you? Any ideas for a new project, and what might you be doing with the prize?
With the prize? Oh, well, it's kind of difficult question, actually. I have several, first of all, project that I need to do this year, actually, also related to environmental issues, also related to pandemics as well, because as you know that Indonesia now is just the situation in our country, in my country, actually, is getting worse. So yeah, hopefully the prize is able to fund my personal projects in the future.
Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. And your images speak 1,000 words as well, and you've also spoken about it just there. But is there anything especially that you would like people to know about the current health situation in the trans community in Indonesia that they can start talking about, opening a conversation about?
Right. As you know, that the main issue of my project is about the identity card, actually. And if we talk about the trans woman community, for example, for this community, they leave their home in a very young age, because there is a lot of stigma, and they have they are struggling with internal issues in their home. And for example, in Jakarta, actually, there are around 2,000 somethings, and around 70% of them, they don't have the ID cards. So it affected them to lose so many access, such as health access, also education, and a proper job. So that's why most of the trans women in Indonesia, they work as sex workers, because they don't have a proper access for them to get a formal job, for example. So that's why the ID card is very, very important now. So yeah, so that's the thing that I can tell.
Something that you're clearly very passionate about, of helping to change. Thanks to the both of you. I'm so honored and humbled to speak to such incredible young people who are telling such hugely important stories, and so beautifully as well. I really look forward to seeing what the two of you are going to be doing in the future. So thanks for joining us, and congratulations again on your well-deserved awards, you two. Well done. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Incredible, such inspirational young people. And that brings the Wellcome Photography Prize 2021 awards to a close. Thank you all for joining us in celebrating the remarkable talent of our photographers this evening. And a special thanks to the Wellcome team that made all of this happen tonight. Nina, Thea, Gabby, Maz, Michael, Tom, Marina, James, Alice, Justin, and Lewis. So all that's left for me to do is to wish you all a very good night and have a very good evening. Thank you and goodbye.